Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini returned to Iran on February 1st, 1979. Several million people showed up to greet him. His arrival was a turning point in the Iranian Revolution.
We could hear the sound of a helicopter. Apparently the crowds were so big that they could not drive Khomeini to the airport, so they were flying him on a military plane, which seemed quite odd given the military's opposition to his return. And as the helicopter appeared in view, it flew in sort of an arc pattern, I think so the Ayatollah could see the crowds. This huge cheer arose from the crowd, and people were chanting slogans. Security was trying to make sure nobody surged forward onto the landing pad.
They clawed and clambered and ran to see and be near him.
The Ayatollah's helicopter landed and he got out.
Khomeini announced that he wouldn't recognize the government left by the Shah. He also blamed the United States for Iran's problems. Final victory for Iran, he noted, wouldn't come until all foreigners were expelled.
When he left, the crowd again went wild. They surged forward, and I remember seeing people were jumping up, trying to grab hold of the helicopter blades as if to climb into the helicopter with him.
Khomeini's words were a sign of things to come. Reed recalls one particularly hairy day that February. Protesters tossed Molotov cocktails made out of Coke bottles at a tank, which caught fire. He needed to send his editors his story, but a late afternoon curfew was imposed. Suddenly, a telling moment of the revolution presented itself.
The implication being this was a 4 o'clock shoot to kill curfew, and by this time we were fairly shaken. So we tried to flag down a car because we'd let our taxi go, but nobody wanted to pick us up because of me. I was an American. Finally, the translator convinced some guy that I was a German. He let us in the car and we tried to drive out. But it was hard to drive out because people started building these barricades to protect the base and keep the Imperial Guard from coming back. And I remember an older, I would say elderly man and his wife. The man was dressed in a coat and tie. His wife had a fur coat on, and they were both trying to pull down a stop sign to build a barricade. And we'd always had the idea that this was basically a lower class and lower middle class revolution. But seeing these people on the street, I thought to myself, if the Shah's lost these people, he's lost everybody. Finally, we managed to get out of the area.
It was too dangerous to return to the bureau, so Reed spent the night at his translator's apartment. A thunderstorm overnight kept protesters at home. The next morning, February 11th, was eerily absent of gunfire and traffic.
We got back to the office, and I thought, well, it's too late to get, file my story from the night before. Maybe I can write a feature or something. So I started typing my notes on a teletype machine just so we'd have the tape, maybe send some of them to New York to freshen the overnight story. And all of a sudden, the translator came running in. He was almost frantic. He's screaming, "It's over, it's over."
On the radio, a spokesman for the military council announced that it would no longer support the Shah-appointed government, and it would stay neutral. So if the military wasn't going to protect the Shah, no one would.
And the city again went wild. It was the same scene as the day the Shah left, except much, much bigger. And we got in a car and drove down and saw incredible scenes where crowds were hauling down statues of the Shah's father, were attacking government buildings. No one was attempting to stop them. A 2,000-year-old monarchical tradition collapsed in a heartbeat.
On April 1st, 1979, the revolution was realized. The Islamic Republic of Iran came into existence.
Right after the revolution, the triumphant revolutionary forces were very proud of what they were doing in terms of starting to build a new Islamic society, as they put it, and dispensing justice to officials and supporters of the old regime. And this dispensing of justice consisted of a lot of firing squads on the roof of a school there called Rafah School. And they would come to our office very proudly, showing us photos of the bloody bodies lying on the roof of Rafah School. that people that they had executed, who, in their view, richly deserved to be executed for their involvement with the Shah, corruption, torture, and so forth. And they were happy for us to transmit these photos, and so we did. The reaction was not what they expected. They thought the world would be thrilled that they were dispensing justice to bad guys. But in fact, the world was pretty horrified at the summary justice of the revolutionary forces. And those photos were a major factor in many people in the world actually starting to wonder about the revolution and whether it was good that these people had won.
As 1979's months passed, the joy that greeted Khomeini would soon morph into something else. In the next episode of Revolution in Iran, victory isn't all that it seems. Gathering the news gets even harder, and the country begins to feel the heat.